Coming up on the Fish Hunt Forever podcast.
Tree encroachment is one of the major factors that's eating up grassland habitat right now.
Made me throw everything I've ever known about a late season pheasant right out the window.
We wanted to talk about some Christmas gift ideas.
You get a 30-inch walleye, you were the king of the town for a couple days.
This is the Fish Hunt Forever podcast, formerly Sporting Journal Radio, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Brett Amundsen. That's David Eckhart in studio.
Hello, hello.
In high definition.
Oh, yeah. Better camera today.
And now Dan looks like you guys swapped cameras. Oh, there's space trailers. Hi, Dan.
Hi.
Yeah, there he is. All right.
Hi.
You joined the Christmas festivities early with the family. How's it going so far?
Oh, it's good. You know, I care about my family, so I figured I'd put that over work, unlike other people. Just saying.
Wow.
It's not even Christmas yet, Dan.
Wow.
Yeah, but people are going out of town, so I got to see them now.
Well, I'm leaving to go see the family as soon as this is over. So there. Come on.
I'm gonna go deer hunting.
Yeah, David doesn't care. David can't stand his family, or maybe his family can't really stand him.
Maybe. I already had one Christmas, so.
Yeah.
Oh, sick brag.
Oh. All right. Well, we're going to talk about, you actually got a pretty cool Christmas gift. So that made me want to talk about Christmas gift ideas on the show. But since it's basically Christmas, I thought, let's say what you could buy with your gift cards that you're going to end up getting for Christmas if you get any gift cards. So,
well, and let's be real.
Christmas.
Half of our audience is, well, most of our audience is of the male specimen, and it's pretty common for the male specimen to do most of their Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve. So,
true, it's very true.
We've got you covered. If you download this on Christmas Eve morning, you'll be in good shape.
Well, and we're going to talk about that. We'll also talk late season pheasant hunting. Jared Wiklund from Pheasants Forever is going to be with us. They have a winter. They talked about creating habitat in the winter and how they're doing that. I thought was kind of interesting. Also, Joe Henry and Sweet's Fishing. Steve Sweet and JP are going to be joining us in the show. We got a simple recipe pheasant for you. A simple way to create habitat during winter. Our picks for gift card purchases after Christmas. One of the fattest burbits I've ever seen, and some sweet fishing on Lake of the Woods. All this and more coming up on the Fish Hunt Forever show.
And this week's show is brought to you by Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan an ice fishing trip at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. OnX Hunt, see private land boundaries, offline maps, and more. Take 20% off a new membership with code SGR20. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort. Ice fish Devil's Lake out of a snowbird. Haybell Heights. Learn more at haybellheights.com. Tasman Lake Lodge. Catch world record lake trout and giant pike at Saskatchewan's Tasman Lake. Learn more at tasmanlake.com. And Prairie Sportsman, the new season is almost here. You can watch episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel.
Headlines. All right, headlines are brought to you by Space Trailers. I have the green High Rider. It's got all-terrain tires. It's a 600-pound trailer, so it's easy to move around. You can pull it with your ATV or side-by-side. It hauls 1,000 pounds. Those space bars on top can hold 225 pounds of gear. There's 8 different color options, 3 different wheel and tire options. Find out more about this Red Wing, Minnesota-based company at spacetrailers.com. Well, some news about wolves. Did you guys hear about this?
I have not yet.
Today, you may have, David.
Maybe.
This is a couple of days ago now. House of Representatives passed in a bipartisan fashion the Pet and Livestock Protection Act. This legislation, co-sponsored by Congressman Pete Stauber, with the list the gray wolf under the Endangered Species Act. Specifically, the bill requires the first Trump administration's November 2020 rule delisting the gray wolf from the endangered species list to be reissued. This will allow states to manage individual wolf populations based on science while preventing activist judges from single-handedly overturning this rule. It's been long championed by Pete Stauber and will safeguard farmers' livelihoods, livestock, keep pets safe in our communities, and allow deer populations to rebound for Minnesota hunters. So, was something that Stauber's been working on for a while. And for anybody that has pushed for the state's management of wolves to be a part of management in Minnesota once again, this is the first step. And this was good that they got this done. So I don't know. I think the next thing to do, if you want to see that, is to get a hold of
your senators.
I got to find this. Yeah.
It's got to pass the Senate next, so get a hold of your senators.
So MDHA has put something on their website about priority EPW committee members to contact. So there are 4 senators there, and then additional key members from some other senators that you can contact. And they've got some pre-written emails for you if you want to get an idea of what you should say to these people. They remind you to be respectful about it all and talk to them about why it matters. And the fact that we have more wolves than anybody, and we have way over goal. And to what Pete Starber was talking about earlier, to get to his credit, what he means is the whole reason that wolves are back on the endangered species list is because of a lawsuit from the Humane Society of the United States back in 2015, that basically they went from judge to judge to judge until they found one. And Judge Beryl Howell said, oh, you're right, wolves have not returned to their historical range, which they never will because now there's major urban population centers there. But that judge said, yeah, you're right, they should be on the endangered species list, despite the fact that wolves are at or above population goals in the Great Lakes wolf region, including Minnesota. And the Minnesota DNR has a wolf management plan that once they get control of wolves, once again, they'll be able to manage them. And part of that plan could include a hunting or trapping season, like it did from 2012 to about 2015, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Those 3 years. So that is good news. That is good news for sure. All right, Dan, you did some pheasant hunting. Dan went on a pheasant trip. And this is something that you've been doing with college buddies for a few years.
Well, it's the second time we've done it in 7 years, so
okay.
if that's what we call tradition these days, then I guess it's a tradition.
You got to get it going annually.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we all have busy lives, so that's tricky, and a lot of them live 6 hours away, so it's a mission to go. But we did. We shot some birds. It's late season, a lot of public land, Minnesota pheasants, so it's not like we shot hundreds of them, but we did fairly well, and we had some fun, and it was kind of interesting to play the weather a little bit. We drove south on the day with the heaviest winds I've ever seen out in western Minnesota for a fall day, and hunted the next day, and it was cold, probably in the teens and still windy, and every single pheasant we found was in the grass or in the corn in the evenings, that wasn't surprising, but to have them in the grass on a cold day made me throw everything I've ever known about a late season pheasant right out the window. And so then the next day we wake up and we look at each other and it's like, well, I guess we have to figure out if they're going to be in the grass or in cattails and thickets like normal December pheasants are. And they were in the cattails and thickets for the most part, or tree plantings, pine cedar plantings, and found some birds, had some getaway, and had a lot of fun. Got to see our good friend Scott Rawl from Nobles County Pheasants Forever. He set us up on some spots, and it's good to hang out with him for a little bit. Had dinner with him a couple nights, and maybe a couple cocktails, and good to see those people in the pheasant world.
You walked on some sloughs without breaking through ice, which is always key.
Yeah, and I walked on some sloughs with breaking through ice, which
oh, you did?
Oh, sure. It's not late season pheasant hunting if you don't get your feet wet a little bit. That's part of the game. That's why you bring a boot dryer. That's my best friend this time of year.
I've dumped so much water out of my boots late season pheasant hunting. This year I've been lucky.
Yeah,
I haven't had to get wet feet. Now. Yeah, probably. I did a little bit of hunting, and actually the ice was good enough that we actually did some ice fishing. We broke from pheasant hunting. I was hunting with my buddy Jason Markela and his son Will, and we hunted private, and it was a short walk. I remember posting my Onyx numbers from my track on my Snapchat story, and Dan just messaged me back like, "Oh, 2.5 miles. Yeah. That's cute."
It was cute. Sweet.
How many miles did you go?
Well, my health app, which I don't trust very well, I should have ran an Onyx track, but I also have a very old iPhone, and my battery doesn't last very long. So if I don't need to, I don't, because otherwise I wouldn't have a phone at the end of the day. I didn't have a phone at the end of the day. It was already dead anyways, but I said 8 miles for one of the days. But so even that's not that. I feel like we walked further than that, but I also did a lot of posting because I didn't have a dog. So I don't really know how far we walked, but it was a lot further than 2 miles. I can guarantee that.
It was nice. I'm not going to lie. It was, Jason shot his 3, probably missed 3 more. I shot 2, missed an easy one, and took a couple pokes, and then we just ran out of daylight. We got out there late, and of course we still had a few minutes left of walking to the truck and put up birds right at the truck, but it was too late. So it was a real fun day of pheasant hunting and seeing some birds. Of course, this time of year you can find them on public. Definitely a lot more pressured. If you have the opportunity to hunt some good private, you definitely could find more birds than that. In fact, I was on my way home and I stopped and hunted a public piece that I'd never touched before. I'd never seen it. I just was like kind of scanned around on Onyx looking for some public pieces. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. Some standing corn food plots on it. There's a big slough, a lot of willow thickets. Like, I'm going to try that. And the first thing I did is I pulled up to it and I walked straight as far into the back of it as I could go. And I look down, I see boot tracks. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's somebody who's been back here recently. And then I go around that and I see signs that say surveillance cameras in use. Like, okay, this piece gets hit a little bit harder than I thought it did.
Yeah.
Clearly there's been people. But I did put up, I don't know, probably a dozen birds, 1 rooster and a bunch of hens. And it was neat. That is one thing I really enjoy about late season pheasant hunting, is just going to try to find a new piece that I've never been on before and just exploring it and trying to figure out how the birds are using it, where the cover is, what it's like, what's around there. And there's a lot of really good private habitat around there. So I'm sure a lot of the birds were probably sitting on private stuff, but it was fun. And Dan, it was weird that you went pheasant hunting and I went fishing last weekend.
Yeah, it was like the Mercury in retrograde or whatever they say these days. Something going on.
Well, I didn't fish a whole lot, but I got this new stuff from Eskimo. I wanted to try it out. David, do you have the E40 auger?
I do not. No, I still have a Strike Master.
Okay. Have you used that E40 yet?
No, but I've seen videos and I would like to get my hands on it, so I'll have to try yours out.
Well, I was talking to Kyle Agri about it, and he's like, what did you think of that thing? And I said, it's crazy how light it is. And I know these new lithium augers are definitely lighter than the old gassers, whatever. But this thing, I was dragging a sled full of gear across the lake with no snow on it. So the sled is just kind of spinning around all over the place. So I carried the auger and just drug everything in the sled. And it was that light that just carrying it while dragging everything else was a piece of cake. So I liked it in any case, and caught some fish. So it was a fun weekend for me. When we were planning the show, David, Dan had a trip. I had a trip. What did you do?
I had a Christmas and then processed deer meat.
Oh,
so it was a good weekend for me too.
Well, I want to talk more about Christmas and some of the things that we're going to recommend you spend your gift cards on when we come back. Sick of eating tagged soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal win for each stand, tracks, and much more. All at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20. All right, we're back talking about Christmas here, and we wanted to talk about some Christmas gift ideas. So I guess if you haven't bought Christmas gifts for people, you can use some of these ideas for that. Or if you were given gift cards as a Christmas present, here are some ideas that you might want to spend the money on. And I'll go first with the first one, and this is a little bit of an expensive one. It's about a $700 item, and I've got a cheap one too that I'll tell you guys here. But shot cam, and part of the reason is I've got this new shotgun now, this Weatherby Sorex, and I've been shooting Berettas for the last 20 years. This one just shoots a little bit different than the guns I'm used to, and I couldn't figure it out. And yeah, I could have just gone down and patterned the gun, and shot at paper, I guess, but that's too easy. I wanted to go hunting with it, and I was shooting high, and I found that out because I was using that shot cam. Plus, it takes really cool videos. So that is one of my suggestions. Some suggestions. Do you have a shot cam, David?
I do not, but I have used yours before.
Oh yeah,
on trips.
That's right. I know. That's right. Yeah, up in Saskatchewan you were using it. That's right. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's fun to see where you're like, oh, I missed that bird, and you can go back and see like, oh, I was shooting way behind that thing.
Yeah, I know a lot of competitive shooters, trap shooters, things like that. They use them. You know, it makes cool videos and it'll help you when you're hunting. But realistically, it helps shooters that are doing this on a more regular basis.
Right.
Competitive shooting. It's a tool to make you a better shooter out there. So those run about $700. So if you're looking for something in that price range, not a bad idea. All right, David, how about you?
So I ended up getting a chamber vac for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I had been talking to some buddies who had used one, a month or so earlier, and showed my wife, and she's like, "You don't need that. You don't need any more processing equipment, and I just have an old food saver." And so in the meantime, I start cutting up my meat, and my wife is like, "Stop processing, because we got you one for Christmas." And
she broke the news to you.
no, she didn't, but I had her buy more vacuum bags, and she was like in her head screaming at me, but couldn't say anything without giving it away. And she had the thought that I'm doing more processing myself, and that food savers can't handle the volume that I'm putting through it. And the last time I used it, it was smelling like it was getting kind of hot. And some of the videos I watched, the bags are cheaper than Ziploc bags. So if you're just putting your stuff in a Ziploc bag and it gets freezer burned, this does a better job of preserving the things that you're freezing. So
I know people that swear by the chamber vacs.
yeah, it's awesome. And they're fairly reasonable. You could spend $1,000 on one, but I think the one I got was $350, and a few different family members pooled in to get me that. So I appreciated that.
What was the brand?
It's a Vivor. So they make everything.
Everything, huh?
They make
Bicycles,
benches, tools, kitchen equipment.
pianos,
Yeah, they
like
have
Yamaha.
They have quite the range. But it seems like it's really good quality. So,
Okay.
So far I've been impressed with it.
All right, Dan, how about you?
So, I have a word of advice if you get a gift card. I've gotten a lot of gift cards for Christmas in years past, and right now the thing to do is to ice fish in these parts of the world. And if you've listened to this show, I enjoy ice fishing, but as far as my outdoor activities go, it's my least favorite of the few that I do. I'd rather be hunting or open water fishing. So my word of advice is to save your gift card, because what often would happen with, I'd get this Shields or Cabela's gift card. I'm like, well, I'll spend it on ice fishing stuff because that's the time of year, which is fine. And then the spring rolls around and open water rolls around, and there's a lot more stuff I want for that. I'm like, dang it, I wish I still had this gift card. So my word of advice is to save it for whatever your favorite activity is. And in my case, it's open water fishing. And I sent this one to you, Brett, a few months ago, I think. It's from Wave Products. It's this rod holder. I don't have it, but I want it. You can see there, it mounts to your gunnel. Because the problem with a lot of walleye boats is you don't have a great place to store your rods besides your rod locker. On a bass boat, you can strap them onto the front deck, and so they're right there. You can just grab them and fish and switch rods really easily. In a lot of walleye boats, there just isn't something... there isn't the deck space for that, right? So you end up laying them in the back, they get tangled or whatever. So I saw this video, and you can see they're not bouncing around these waves, and it's I don't know what price on it, but I want one. The next boat I get, if I have a gunnel that I mount that to, I will get one, because I love the idea of being able to just lay my rods down like that and not have them get tangled, not have them bounce around, but have them out and ready to be used. Because I know a lot of people, they have all these rods, they plan to use them, but they don't, because they keep them hiding in their rod locker, and so they just fish with one rod and either get stubborn and don't change baits, or they end up just retying and these other rods don't get used, and there's no point of having them if you're not going to use them. So Wave Products, something to look at.
Pull that back up, Dan. I'm trying to figure out what's holding the rods there.
It looks like a ram mount to the gunnel.
Right.
But there must be something in the back strap that they strap them down to.
There might be.
Yeah.
Is my guess.
Because, they're not moving in that mount, obviously the rods slide in.
Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
trying to figure out.
The real question is, Dan, would you rank ice fishing over bow hunting or under bow hunting?
Well, I'm better at ice fishing. There's no doubt about that. But I'd rather bow hunt than ice fish. Venison
Okay.
to me tastes better than a fish. In my opinion, I don't know.
Venison's tough to beat.
I'd rather do
man.
that. I love fish. Don't get
All
me
right.
wrong, but
Do you have your second item ready to go, Dan? We'll work backwards on the way.
yeah, it's not new, but it's going back to open water. Boat ramps were a topic of discussion amongst us at pheasant camp this weekend because all of us are anglers and probably would put hunting or fishing over hunting, and just got on the topic of boat ramps, and we could use people speeding up at the boat ramps. So a Dorado or like the boat to trailer, like the device, so you can just drive your boat right up and it hooks on, and you can hooks on your trailer and you can pull it out, or vice versa. If somebody backs it in, you can leave it hooked up and then just pull the lever and it releases. So you don't either don't have to get out and have like 1 foot in the boat, 1 foot out of the boat on the trailer. It's scary, trying to unhook your safety chain and your strap, and the winch flies around and catches your arm, or you have to completely unhook your boat and back it down, which I've known some people that have done that and it hasn't ended up very well. So don't do that. But
Me.
I wasn't gonna name any names. You called yourself out there. So my dad's got one. We got him one for Christmas a few years ago, and especially when he's fishing by himself, it's a great thing for safety and it's a great thing for speed. I love them. I have heard of people having issues in dropping boats on concrete because they didn't latch properly on those with those devices. So they're not a be all end all. You still have to be careful, but would highly recommend one of those. I plan to get one for the next boat I have.
David.
Well, as you were saying with gift cards, I think as you got a new hub house, accessories for a hub house, good lights, they make shelves that fit in the hubs, just because you don't have a sled to set stuff in, or you could put your sled inside, but just keep stuff off the floor.
Yeah, after I got that new hub from Eskimo, I was starting to look at the accessories, and they have like a tray that you can
Hook in
with a
to the
cup
hub.
holder and
Yep.
and even a GoPro mount
Yeah.
one. So it's a great idea. I am going to be buying probably all of them.
Well, and just to keep stuff off the floor so you don't kick it into a hole or you're not tripping over it.
Nobody's ever kicked anything into a hole. What are you talking about? All right, I'm going to see if I can
shoot
shoot.
another video of this rod holder here that I'm showing on the screen here, but
Oh,
there's
okay.
a lot going on there. But anyways, another look at it.
Are we seeing? Oh, right there.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
he's got 2 of them there. So
interesting.
Anyway.
All right, I'm going to share the screen on my other one. This is not a new item either. This is something I picked up at Walmart the other day for $23. It's a French fry cutter, and it's
Nice.
changing my life.
looks like you could have saved 16 cents if you bought it here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
74.
16 cents, Dan? You want to?
Yeah. Yep.
You want to do that math?
Nope.
You want to try that
Sticking
again?
with it.
Nope. I stand by what I said. Imagine what you could do with a Roth IRA with 16 cents.
Or 26 cents even. Could you imagine? Man.
I can't.
Well, that little fry cutter, I looked at a bunch of them because we were buying these pre-cut fries, and French like fast food type French fries, and they're frozen, whatever, and they're coated in vegetable oil, and we're trying to get rid of all of our vegetable oil. So we're like, let's just start buying potatoes and cutting them. And I was looking at all these different cutters, and I didn't want anything too complicated or expensive. And this dang thing for $22.74 is so simple, and you can take it apart and clean it easily. You throw a potato on there, you mash her down. She slices and dices very, very easily. I do put a little, when I air fry stuff, I bought this olive oil, and it's like pressed olive oil, I think, or cold pressed or something like that. I didn't know anything about it, still don't, but it looked healthier than all the other spray oils. I know I wanted to use like an olive oil or avocado oil or something like that, and I found this oil at Walmart. So I do spray a little bit of that on there, and this real simple pheasant recipe. I get asked on about a daily basis on Snapchat, what's your favorite pheasant recipe? And it's honey glazed pheasant. Google honey glazed chicken, and you'll find the recipe I use for that. But for a real simple one that's real quick and easy, I take and I just chop up a pheasant breast. I clean it up, I trim it, and then I roll it in flour, or I've been using shore lunch, and I use the original recipe shore lunch because, as we found out, the Cajun shore lunch in the air fryer, real hot. Like you could do I used to make fun of people for mixing original and Cajun shore lunch together, because I can eat the straight Cajun like when you're frying it or whatever, but in the air fryer, for whatever reason, I don't think that some of that spice doesn't burn off.
Yeah, it doesn't cook off.
It's a little, why so spicy? So I've been using the original. You can flavor it up a little bit if you want. And I just throw the potatoes or French fries and my floured pheasant pieces. I just throw it all in the air fryer. And I think I did it last night for about 17 minutes at 400. And it was real good. Now, your timing is going to vary based on the thickness of your potatoes or the thickness of your pheasant cuts. But it's a real simple and a healthy way to make pheasant as well.
So you just throw it all in together, pheasant and potatoes.
Heck yeah.
One pot meal.
Yep. Why not?
Might as well.
Yeah. Yep. Cut them on the same board and everything. I know, like, well,
Some
don't
might
mix the
say,
stuff.
oh, what am I got going on? Don't cross-contaminate, but just ignore
I mean,
the
if you're
haters.
cooking it all,
It's all getting cooked anyway.
it's all getting cooked anyway. Yeah.
Ignore
So
the haters.
I don't think it matters personally, but
My
all right.
will give you a call.
Okay, good. Before we go to Jared Wiklund from Pheasants Forever, I'm kind of throwing this at you guys, so I'll just share my screen, Dan. And I know I shared this with, I sent this to you guys on,
I think I sent it to you too.
oh, did you? I'm not sure. I saw your message.
Is this that eel pot?
But this eel pot is ridiculous from Border View. Look at the size of this thing. Look how fat that is. I mean, I've seen some fat eel pot. Looks like it swallowed a basketball.
It looks like it floats up like a bobber when he puts it in too.
I wonder if it's full of air.
That was my thought.
I bet that's exactly
just,
what it is.
boop,
If it's
popped
floating
right
back
back
up. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Well, hopefully.
That's no fun.
No. Well,
What you got going on
All
on
right.
Facebook here?
oh,
Well,
hey, there's
RCMP.
Daryl.
You got a
I'm
ticket.
gonna stop shit.
Sorry, Daryl.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk to Joe Henry and Sweet's Fishing. Steve Sweet, who's been on Lake of the Woods for a long, long time, started guiding in 1981. What was it like back in 1981 on Lake of the Woods? We're going to ask him. Plus, we'll get a fishing report from Steve and his son, JP. Plus, Jared Wiklund from Pheasants Forever is going to join us next. It doesn't get much better than fresh perch and fresh walleye. If you're looking for an exciting winter fishing destination, come to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort is on the ice with a fleet of snow bears, keeping you mobile and warm so you can stay on the roaming schools of fish. Haybale Heights on the east end of Devil's Lake has knowledgeable guides, comfortable cabins, and their own lake access, making your trip as successful and stress-free as possible. To book your trip, go to haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. All right, well, we've done some late season pheasant hunting out here, and with the warmer weather, it was actually kind of nice. The birds were back in the grass a little bit, and if you got habitat, you had birds this year. And to talk a little bit more about habitat, late season hunting, and to see what else might be coming for Pheasant Fest this year, Jared Wiklund from Pheasants Forever joins us on the show right now. Jared, how you doing?
Hey, Brett. I'm great. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been I know you and I talked before the show a little bit. You've been out and about in the pheasant fields and cattail sloughs, and I'll tell you what, it's been a pretty good year for most people. It would seem, based on populations and just hunter success. I've seen a lot of pictures of limits out there, which is always great.
I'll tell you, when we got, what did we get, 8-9 inches of snow probably out here, David?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Something like that. And man, the grass was filled in. Grass was filled in, and even some of the cattail sloughs were filled in and blown over, and it was tough sledding, like getting around. You had to go into the deep, thick stuff, and to get there, you had to trudge through, some pretty deep drifts. And then we had a couple of days of warm weather and some rain, and it melted a lot of that snow. And that, that we had some freezing rain, which obviously isn't good for the wildlife out there. But man, it made hunting easier again, and shot some birds out of the grass the other day. It was kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie.
It's interesting, that we had a pretty nice fall, and then there was just this abrupt cutoff, and it went straight to winter in a real hurry. And there's parts of the pheasant range, I think down in like central Iowa, for instance, they went straight to like, there's places by Fort Dodge, I think they were up to like 22 inches of snow, which is getting pretty close to like kind of their annual average in some of those spots. So it was nice to get a melt here. I was in South Dakota this past weekend chasing birds in kind of the central part of the state towards the Missouri River. Most of the snow is gone over there. They're calling for 40s and 50-degree temperatures here over the next week, kind of over Christmas and beyond. So the birds are fat and happy over there right now. It's looking pretty good.
I haven't made it over to South Dakota I'm trying to remember the last time I hunted South Dakota. Might have been when I hunted with you guys over there, and that was, that's got to be 9 or 10 years ago now, I suppose, something like that.
That was a while ago.
I'm planning on doing a January trip. If there isn't a lot of snow, that actually I kind of like that. I mean, I do like hunting in the snow. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to trudge around and I remember that trip that we took over there. There were some snow drifts. I thought we'd lost you, Jared. Like there were some.
Yeah, I had my annual physical today, and I was still 5'8", just like the last 38 years of my life. So I tend to disappear pretty fast, but you're absolutely. I remember that day. It was a winter wonderland. You and I met up, and we kind of did a hunt ahead of time. I think Carl Gunzer met up with you and me and one more colleague from Pheasants Forever, and we had a hell of a hunt on public land before our sort of media trip even began. And it was good throughout. And, there's snow up there right now, especially as you kind of get up towards like northeast South Dakota, that Glacial Lakes region. But it was melting fast. I would bet they probably aren't going to have any snow here in another week. They're getting a little bit of rain, like you said, and these warmer temperatures. But I actually drove out there the other day in pretty much a ground blizzard for half the time. It was the day where we had those 40 and 50 mile an hour winds. It was slow going. I didn't see many pheasants that day on the road because I couldn't see 10 feet in front of the vehicle, but everything cleared up sort of by Waugh Bay. And there was actually a semi that got blown off the road going over Waugh Bay and was sitting in a couple feet of water. They were pulling it out. So
I saw the 72 mile an hour winds in Summit there, just east of Waugh Bay, early that morning. That was quite the day.
It was bad. There's a lot of wind. There's a lot of wind-blown habitat this year, whether you're talking grass or food plots or cattail. I mean, anytime you get 70 mile an hour winds coming through, and especially add some snow on top of it, it can make for tough sledding. But the habitat is in pretty good condition with the amount of rain that they got kind of later in the summer over in the Dakotas and in Minnesota as well. Habitat's in really good shape right now.
It was kind of wild. We hunted the day after those winds in southern Minnesota, and it was cold. Like it was windier, more windy than cold. So I was thinking, well, let's go right to thickets, let's go right to cattails. We found every single one of our birds that day in grass. Every single one of them. I couldn't believe I just threw everything I knew about a late season pheasant threw right out the window that day. And the rest of the weekend they were all back in the cattails, but man.
I don't know what the temperature range is, but it seems like when it gets above freezing, when it hits 32 degrees and it gets sunny outside and those birds are able to just move around and kind of go where they want to go, hunting gets a lot tougher at that point, especially. And then when you get up to 40 degrees, they're not necessarily in the cattails anymore. They can kind of go where they please and rummage around where there's food. But I would agree with you, Brett. You said earlier about, hunting in January. That late season in South Dakota is one of my favorite times to go out there. I've got another week license here that I'd love to get back out. We'll see if I do. But those last 2 weeks of the season, there's not many people. The birds are typically huddled together, especially if there's cold weather. So yeah, it's a recipe for a pretty fun hunt.
Yeah, well, I'll get some dates put together. I'll throw them out there if you want to come out and join us. It should be a good time, I'm sure. And that weather, when I first really started to pheasant hunt a lot, I'm gathering my thoughts here. I'll get her figured out.
You have to go back a ways because you're old.
I can feel it coming.
Yeah. Hang on a second here. When I first really started getting gung-ho about it, and I got into, and I was living in the middle of pheasant country, man, I looked forward to those kind of like bad weather days. Like if it was blowing and it was snowing, I was like, I'm going because I'm going to be able to find the birds. I'm tough. I'm a man. I'm going out there in the blizzards. And I think actually after hunting with you guys a little bit on some of those days, and we were talking about it, and I don't remember who made the comment, but one of the guys was like, yeah, I usually give them a break on those days. It's like, that's probably a good idea, because when you're in there and you're busting cover, you're pushing out hens, you're pushing out, deer, some of the other wildlife that's in there taking refuge. So my body, and maybe it's just me getting older and being smarter, but I usually take those days off now.
Yeah. It doesn't pay much. Some of the other guys I was going out to South Dakota with, they got out way ahead of me. And even though sort of the blowing snow turned off, it was still, blowing 40 miles an hour with no snow. It kind of turned to sunny skies, and they just decided to watch wildlife from a distance. And that's fine too. I would say, in my younger years, I think there were times I was the same way, like, go get them, tiger, especially when it's really bad outside and they're not advising travel. And I remember one time in Iowa, we did that, and I had a tractor came and pulled us out of a snowdrift because we couldn't see where we were going. And that's where I learned a lot of adult lessons. But it's one of those things you don't necessarily, especially at like the end of a day, if it's going to be really, really crappy out, rain, freezing rain, heavy snow. That's not a great recipe, chasing them out of cover right at the end of the day. Especially.
For sure. Well, habitat is key, and one of the things I wanted to have you on right now this week for is because Pheasants Forever, the social media channels, put out a reel featuring you doing some habitat work, and it looked like the easiest habitat work I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. We had volunteers from Pheasants Forever, volunteers from Excel Energy. We've got a lot of life members and guys and gals that like to hunt over there. We had about 20 some volunteers out, and this is a property that we've been working on with Washington County Parks. It's kind of by Big Marine, if you're familiar with that, in the Northeast Metro, kind of a popular fishing destination. And along with sort of Keystone Woods property that the DNR owns across the road, there's like a 2,800 acre chunk of habitat there. Huge area. And we're working a little bit at a time, but throughout the spring and summer, we held different habitat events. We had 30, 40 volunteers at a time. We're basically removing trees. When you look at pheasant habitat in general right now, doesn't matter where it is, across their entire range, tree encroachment is one of the major factors that's eating up grassland habitat right now. If it's not being farmed, trees are sort of like this next big this next big factor that we're looking at, where when trees move in, and if they're not managed right away as grassland succession goes, they can take over a parcel really quick. And we work with a lot of ranchers throughout the range too. They're like, hey, we've lost a lot of grazing habitat here. Let's get it back to ground zero. So we've taken off tens of thousands of trees over the summer. And these were actually fields that were being cropped at the time. So it was basically bean stubble, and there was just enough clearance to get some of our equipment through, where we did a frost seeding for forbs and other things that have to go through seed stratification. So basically winter weather, moisture, they need that cycle in order for those seeds to germinate. So winter's a good time to do it. It did get up to -2 that day. I don't always recommend going out and seeding when it's that cold, but it worked out. We had a whole bunch of tents there with heaters going and hot chocolate and sandwiches, and we made the most of it. Put the seed down, covered it up with some UTVs with some drags behind them, and we're going to have awesome habitat there for the future.
So those volunteers, I mean, they were pretty much just walking and throwing seed out on the snow, it looked like.
Yep. Just throwing it out in the snow, and then that dark seed on the white snow, and you get these days where it gets up into the 30s, that seed tends to just melt right through there. But for this specific project, we wanted to make sure that we had good contact with the snow and actually try to dig it down a little bit. Because once you start throwing forb seed out there, it's sort of like turning on a bird feeder. So you need to make sure you get the seed covered before animals find it. So that's what we did. We did the entire 30 acres in a couple hours with some help. We had a Vicon seeder going too in the back of one of the UTVs, in addition to just volunteer help. And it's going to be a great project. There were some pheasants out on the road when we showed up there, which was nice to see. And there's the only thing left to really do out there right now is we've got a bunch of tree piles, really big ones, that we piled up from our spring and summer work. So we're gonna probably have a hot dog roast or maybe a s'more roast later on this winter at some point. We'll get out there to burn those off.
Well, let me just ask you this real quick, because this is something we hear about a lot from people, particularly the deer hunters that don't pheasant hunt. When you see the DNR or PF or whoever taking trees out like that, the deer hunters get mad about that. What do you say to those guys?
I would say that deer, like, especially when it comes to cottonwoods is a big one people see, right? It's like this visual thing that's on the landscape. You can call that deer habitat if you want, but that's not saving them from a bad winter. I mean, the wind is still blowing right through there. So in a lot of these cases, it's a lot of waterfowl production areas and things like that, especially in western Minnesota, that have trees where they never used to exist. And that's due to not having the right amount of management on there that they need. I remember a few years ago, there was a heron rookery that was at the end of its life too. And sort of those trees are dying anyways, just from what the herons are doing, dropping on the ground. We removed that as well. Those herons went just down the road and made another one on some private property. And but yeah, trees aren't supposed to be in sort of this prairie wetland landscape in the prairie pothole region. And if you don't manage them, your pheasant habitat can be gone in just a matter of years, just due to succession. If anybody's ever, cut trees in their backyard and not treated them before, a lot of times they're going to sprout back, and they come back with a fury, and they can take over a grassland landscape in a very short amount of time. So that's the reason for management. If you've ever hunted on a upland complex before, there's a lot of big deer. South Dakota has a bunch of them as well. I saw a bunch this weekend when I was out there, that sort of live in a treeless landscape. So that's sort of the information behind the why. Just keeping our grasslands maintained.
I want to talk about that Keystone Woods again, because that was in the news, and I'm trying to remember what the news, like a year ago. Do you guys remember that? A year ago or so?
They want to run dog trials on it, right?
Well, there was that. Yeah, somebody asked me about that. It's kind of an interesting property out there, and I'm just looking at it here, and the WMA is 1,800 acres, but you said there's 2,800 acres there?
There's another 1,000 acres across the road that's owned by the county. Yep.
Gotcha. All right. And did they allow different use on that WMA than other typical WMAs? That particular one had dog training on it. It used to be, it was a cattle farm / game farm before it became a public property. And at that point, it was one of the, as far as like the Twin Cities goes, it was sort of the premier dog training area for a lot of people that were looking to get their pups on their first bird. So they maintain that. I don't know exactly what the status is right now. I know they've got it set up with a dog training club in order to maintain that for the future. I think it's like maybe between 100 and 200 acres. I don't know exactly what they have set up there right now, but yeah, it's one of those, it's a very high profile, sort of within the city limits. There's a lot of people that live out there and surround that piece of property. So, they held plenty of public meetings and such to kind of figure out which way they wanted to go on it. But it's, as far as like within the metro goes, it's a gem of a wildlife management area. I've talked to a lot of people that have pheasant hunted out there this year, and they're moving birds. There's plenty of waterfowl fanatics out there, a lot of deer hunters, a lot of birders. It's a really, really big landscape that holds a lot of wildlife, which is pretty unique. And there's a lot of fishing going on too, in some of the lakes and ponds that they have on that particular piece of property.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I just drove by that last night.
Really? Yeah. Have fishing equipment, will travel.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, it's a really neat piece, and we're actually, our local chapter, Washington County Pheasants Forever, is working through with the DNR right now to sign an agreement to basically adopt that WMA. So helping clean up the parking areas, pulling fence, maybe doing some habitat projects. We've got we're going to apply for I can't remember if it was EPL or CPL grants for the future. Hopefully, working with the managers out there to make that just a premier grassland complex that people can go out and whatever the use might be. Could be dog training out there, could be upland hunting, could be bird watching. There's just a lot of different unique things that people can go out there to do and enjoy. And our chapter wants to be part of that and help it remain in quality habitat for a long time.
Yeah, there it is.
It's big.
You're watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can see there's some of that county ground is on the east side of the road, and it kind of wraps up and around and down towards Big Marine. So see, yeah, right in the middle of your screen there, you see those crop fields, 1, 2, 3 on 170th there. Yep, those are the ones that we seeded the other day. So
okay,
and we worked that whole area to take a lot of the volunteer and invasive trees off.
Nice to have a big area that close to the metro like that for people.
It is. It's always, my house is located, I don't know, maybe like 8 miles down the road where I'm at here from Keystone. And I go over there for a lot of meetings and stuff with my local chapter, and just driving past that place where they used to have cattle. And now it's in public hands. I think it's a real benefit to folks like us that cherish the outdoors and wildlife. It's a really cool piece of property.
Well, I want to talk about Pheasant Fest before we let you go here, Jared, because we're getting close. It's not too far away.
Yeah, coming up February 20th through the 22nd, Minneapolis Convention Center. All sorts of good stuff going on with it this year. Obviously, we've got our Concert for Conservation, our 3rd annual with Turnpike Troubadours. That's opening up at the State Theater. That's on Thursday night, the 19th. And then we sort of just jump right into Pheasant Fest, the Bird Dog Parade. I've been working on the Bird Dog stage myself, helping to get that set with our good friend Carl Gunzer from Purina. We got all sorts of different stages this year. We sort of got a grouse trail this year if you want to learn about hunting grouse, rough grouse, prairie grouse of all sorts. You can come on out for that. There's a great youth area this year that's back. We've just got all sorts of sort of a public lands pavilion. And if you're looking for gear or shotguns or bird dogs or outfitters, they're all going to be at National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic. It's going to be a fun get together, I think.
I'm excited for that concert. I'm not going to lie. I know I said this last time I had you on too.
Talk about it every
Are there
day.
still? I mean, pretty much. Are there still tickets available?
There's about 300. There's about 300 tickets left. So if you're looking at going, you're going to want to get those as soon as you can. And every year that we've done that for the past 2 years here, working with the band, working with our folks at Pepper Entertainment and some of these areas, that's a $100,000 or more check that is written and comes back to Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever for our habitat mission. So I think it's a unique thing that we've sort of done here, and we're bringing in different bands. We've had obviously Trampled by Turtles, Muscadine Bloodline, and now Turnpike, and we're just really thrilled about the concert that's going to take place here to kind of open up National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic weekend at the Convention Center. I'm
excited. Well, I got a hotel room for 3 nights during this, so I'm going to be down there every day. I have a feeling this year. We had you on, I don't know, a couple months ago, I suppose, to talk about this, probably when that concert was announced. Is there anything new since then coming that you're excited about, or anything planned that you want to talk about?
Yeah, there's we've got a life member breakfast this year that's going to be cool. I can't say who it is yet, but we've got a great, very popular Minnesota Vikings player that's coming to be the keynote for that. This year we've got Dennis Anderson that we announced, I think, in early October, who's going to be our keynote speaker and kind of telling the founding story of Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. Very excited for that. I have a great relationship with Dennis just through my work for the Bird Club, and there's a lot of people I think that are pretty excited to sort of hear his story. He's still got this fire and this passion for how Pheasants Forever was created and how volunteers and chapters have carried it this far. And that's an important important recipe for the future as well. So he's going to talk about all that. And the other side of Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic is just the amount of people that come out from like all corners of the country, and we kind of come to coalesce for like this one weekend that's dedicated to bird hunters and bird dogs and wild things and wild places on grassland habitat. It's pretty tough to beat. I know you and I have hung out quite a bit over the years at these events, and it's always fun to see people and make new friends while we're at it. So that's the best part for me.
Dan and I stopped out there last year in Kansas City. We were coming back from Kentucky, and we swung through. And you don't think of Kansas City as this big hotbed of pheasant hunting or upland bird hunting necessarily, but it's such a great location, just central to the country. And the amount of people, like, it was packed. I couldn't believe how many people were there last year at that banquet, Jared. It was huge.
Yeah. The banquet is always, I think if you're looking to get a banquet ticket, you best pull the trigger probably this week, because I think there's like maybe 100 tickets left for Saturday night, maybe a few more for Friday. But yeah, it's fun. We raised a lot of money and put it to good use. We're still hovering around that 89, 90 cents of the dollar, goes back to wildlife habitat, and we really hang our hat on that. So looking forward to it. And there's going to be some fun opportunities and hunts and experiences that are available to folks, both live auction, silent auction, and online, if people want to take a look at that when the time comes.
February 20th to the 22nd, Minneapolis Convention Center, Pheasant Fest, Quail Classic. Jared Wiklund, anything else you want to plug before we let you go?
I don't think so. We might have some more states announced this coming spring for our PATH program, public access to habitat. That continues to take off. We've got about 130,000 acres enrolled in 10-year contracts right now. So that's really important one. So if you're going out to South Dakota or North Dakota or Nebraska or down to Oklahoma, we've got some good quail and pheasant hunting opportunities on those parts. Well, pretty much for anything that you're going for in those specific states. It's just quality habitat and access for 10 years at a time, which is great. So lots of cool things coming up. And just looking forward to telling more of the story of our habitat mission here over the coming year.
Well, very cool. Well, we'll see you in February if we don't see you in South Dakota in January. Jared Wiklund, Pheasants Forever. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I thought I heard at the beginning you were going to invite me out and pay for like a pheasant hunting get together or something in January. So at least that's how I heard it. And that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Let's go. No, let's go. Let's get something planned for sure. Let's do it. So
thanks, guys.
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Jared, thank you for being on the show. We'll head up to Lake of the Woods and check in with Joe Henry and Sweets Fishing when we come back.
Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital of the world. Plan your ice fishing trip today. We have over 60 lodging options with 30 full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper house options. Fish from the famous Rainy River in the South Shore.
You never know what you're going to catch.
To the scenic Northwest Angle.
Here at the Northwest Angle.
Catch walleye, sauger, perch, sturgeon, eelpout, tullibee, northern pike, and more. Fish Minnesota's Lake of the Woods. Learn how at lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
All right, now we're going to head up to Lake of the Woods to check in with Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism. Joe, how's it going?
Hey, gentlemen, happy holidays. How are you?
Merry Christmas. Doing well. It's that time of year, where I can finally start to thinking, like I finally went ice fishing for the first time the other day. Like I'm finally starting to think fishing mode. I know a lot of other people are into it already, but I'm just finally starting to get into it, Joe.
Yeah, we got to kind of beat that hunting out of you. I mean, you milked that hunting for all it's worth. I've been watching your pheasant videos and everything else. And by the way, David, I think it's kind of neat that you wore the same kind of camo, Brett has on today. I don't know if you're looking for a raise or what the scoop is.
You ain't going to get one.
Got a rep.
He's not going to get one.
Get 2 slices of pizza next week.
Oh, Bush Lights.
extra bush light.
Yeah, that's right.
For sure.
We don't have that much.
Well, that's why he's there. I mean, look at that smile. I mentioned, Pizza didn't get a picture on. You mentioned Bush Light. He had a big grin on his face.
I'm here.
Well, and Joe, we should mention, since we just saw him on screen there, for people watching the show, we've got some other guests from Lake of the Woods with us as well.
We do. You know what? So we got Steve and JP Sweet from Sweet's Fishing. And, if you remember last week we had Robbie Johnson from Johnson's Walleye Retreat. He mentioned one of his neighbors are the Sweets. And so they're actually right next door. But these guys have a really, really good fishing operation right on Bostic Bay. And it's on the south shore of Lake of the Woods. They have a really nice cabin they rent out. They got sleeper fish houses. They got day houses. Both Steve and JP Sweet fish all the time. Steve's been on the lake. In fact, I'll let Steve tell how long he's been on the lake. But, Steve, I don't know if you remember this or not, but this is a long time ago. In fact, this is well before I was tourism director. So my cousin through marriage is Tommy Finders. And I'm hoping to get a smile out of you when I say Tommy Finders. But I remember Tommy and I were fishing once, and we were going up on snowmobiles up the east side of the Lake of the Woods, up towards Nine Bridges. And he goes, you know what? Let's leave our collapsible fish houses behind, because I got a friend of mine who's got some permanents up here that we can use. I talked to him already. And those were your fish houses. And I remember it was in March, and we went up there, and I remember that's when chubby darters were pretty popular. And I remember that we had a bite where we were using chubby darters, jigging those chubby darters, bigger minnow bait, kind of a glide bait. And we were whacking those nice walleyes, and they're about halfway down in the water column. I'll never forget that. That was so much fun.
That was a lot of years ago when I had houses up on Knight and Bridges.
That was a lot of, because I've been tourism director for 14 years. So that would have been, 16, 17, 18 years ago, probably.
Oh, at least that.
Yeah.
I started plowing, so I don't get up that way as much. But
Well, Steve, how long have you been on Lake of the Woods? Kind of just give a little history of when you started fishing Lake of the Woods and when you started your business and stuff.
I started guiding here in '81. Seems like yesterday, but it was '81. And I think I went in the winter business on my own there in '92, I think it was. So I've been at it a few years.
Well, I would say it's a few years. Brett, 1981. Now, were you born in '81, Brett?
I was actually born a little before that, Joe.
Danny?
So
I was not. I wasn't a thought.
It's interesting. Since you brought up '81 and '92, Steve, tell me about how the lake has changed, because the '80s, that's when the ice business really took off up there, wasn't it?
That was like '85, '86. Before that, there was very few businesses in the winter here. But it really took off then, and every place around here is open in the winter now.
Yeah, it really changed things quite a bit up there. When you look back into the early '80s there, and you decided to start guiding at Lake of the Woods, where are you from there? Is it a family thing, or what made you want to essentially spend your life on that lake?
Well, all I ever wanted to do was fish, and I had a friend that was guiding there. I'm originally from Iowa, and said, well, I'd like to do that. And he found a place that was willing to give me a chance, and I showed up and stuck her out. Still here.
Wait a minute. Iowa, there's no rock bass in Lake of the Woods, is there? Do we know?
Well, there's might be a couple.
That's funny. And then JP, so then you're just going to follow in your dad's footsteps then?
Allegedly.
That's something that you want to do though. Just you do a little bit more too. You do some radio stuff and broadcasting.
If we were going to go through my resume, I think we'd be here for quite a while longer than when you get Joe talking about some good winter and summer fishing up here. But it's always been a special thing out there with my dad. I mean, he sits and tells stories to the customers all the time of me as a little kid out there riding around with them, and I've just been here ever since, really helping him out the last, especially 10 or so years. And now it's fun going to work and hanging out with my dad every day.
I don't know
Steve,
if I
did you
go that
recommend?
far with that. Said I don't know if I can go that far. We're having fun hanging out every day. Because we don't always see eye to eye, but things work out.
Yeah. Did you want him to do essentially what you've been doing? Did you encourage him to guide on the lake and make a business out of being on the water?
Well, actually, he wanted to be in broadcasting, and I told him, well, you know, that's what you want to do. That's what you ought to do. Everybody ought to do what they like to do.
And then
you do
he
both.
realized, yeah, I said, yeah, that's the ideal, right? When you can just broadcast about fishing.
Work on the lake during the day, head in and cover local high school sports, and you're home for Lake of the Woods Bears athletics at night.
There you go. That's awesome.
It's kind of, I think it's cool to see that you still incorporate, one of your passions of broadcasting, and you're still incorporating that in what you do, whether it's, broadcasting the local sports for Lake of the Woods High School, or even just some of the social media. I mean, you've gotten very active on social media for Lake of the Woods and for Sweets Fishing.
Yeah, social media is just it's the way things are now. I mean, Dad will tell stories and talk about the outdoor news back in the day when he first got up here. Now it's transitioned heavily to being you have to be active on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and it's amazing the reach you get with the days of social media now. And we really don't know what you said. You broke up for a little bit, but I heard you bringing up the Lake of the Woods Bears sports, and it's it's fun to go around and you talk to people at these sporting events, and it ends up talking about fishing. Everybody asks, how's fishing? Where are the fish at? Where are the fish biting on? It's kind of fun when you get to marry the two jobs together and spread the love of Lake of the Woods around all over the place when you travel.
Well, where are the fish? How are the fish biting? Give us a fishing report, fellas.
Go ahead.
Well, we've had stuff set between 23 and 26 feet of water. It was very, very good before the weather decided to swing 80-some degrees in 2 days, so that was fun. But it's still picking up. They're still getting some decent walleyes. Quite a few saugers out there today. When I checked the houses this morning, they were into some good saugers in the morning, and everybody was getting a couple 16, 18-inch walleyes coming up as well. So we're seeing them coming up on dirty bombs, lightning bugs. We're seeing them on plain red hooks. Quite a few on the pink and gold glow-in-the-dark charmers. So it's typical early ice right now.
Tell us a little bit about the business. If people wanted to come up and fish with you guys, what do you offer?
Go ahead. You're doing good.
Oh, okay. That's the first time he's ever complimented me.
Probably true.
Yeah. We have day houses. They can fish up to 4 people per house. We have sleepers. They range anywhere from our brand new 3-man houses to 6-man sleeper houses. Smart TVs in the sleepers. Generators come with rentals this year. If you have larger groups than 6, we will put multiple houses within walking distance to accommodate. Plowed roads, shower house, an indoor toilet on shore. The sleepers have an indoor toilet as well. We're trying to keep up with the fish the best we can. Some years that gets more difficult than others, especially when you got 30-some miles of road some years to cover. But we move houses after every group, and we just do our best to keep on these fish here in Lake of the Woods.
What's the snow cover like up there right now? Is there any snow on the ice?
Well, before last week when it was about beach season again, there was plenty of snow cover. But now it's back to spotty. We had about 3 days of snow and wind, and it's you'll go 50 feet with good snow cover, and then you got 50 yards of bare ice, and it's just kind of that way as far as the eye can see where we're at, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles out. So
it's a lot of work running a business like that, isn't it?
Sure is. I didn't get home until very late last night. I'm still working on 2 new houses so I can get them out there soon.
Steve, you've been on the lake a long time. What kind of shape is the lake in now compared to what it used to be? Like, what kind of changes have you seen? Obviously, there's been changes in technology, throughout the ice fishing industry, and that's certainly changed a lot. But how about as far as the lake goes, and how fishing is, and the size of our fish, and just things like that? Like, what has happened over the years?
Well, when I first started here, it was you could catch a lot of fish, but a lot of fish would go through the gill net. At the time, they were still netting the lake pretty heavily. And I believe we got them up in 85 or 6. And the quality of the fish has gone up substantially. A lot of very nice fish out in the lake right now.
You know, I'd heard somebody say back in the day when somebody would catch like a 27-inch walleye, and back in the day before the slot limit, you could keep those. But if somebody would ever bring like a 27-inch walleye in, I mean, there'd be a lot of people running down to the docks to take pictures of it. I mean, you didn't see a lot of big walleyes like that. Is that true?
That's absolutely true, yeah. You get a 30-inch walleye, you were the king of the town for a couple of days because there just weren't that many big fish. The nets really thinned them out. There was very few spots on the lake out there that we could go find the quality fish like that they didn't net in that area. And so now that the nets are up, it's really made a big difference in the quality of the fish.
And then you kind of changed your ice fishing tactics from, I would assume, using bombardiers back in the day to now you plow roads. What's kind of your thought process on that?
Well, I just had enough houses, and hauling people an hour and a half each way was getting a little much. You know, quite a few trips every day, and you don't get much sleep, so I decided I'd start plowing so I could drive out. Saved me a lot of time, and I could handle a few more people.
How about as far as maybe just comment on, you know, you've been around. I mean, you were around for the start of the ice fishing, and back in the day, were people looking like in the 80s? You know, I know that I always heard that the fish house furnaces, like the oil burning stoves, weren't real reliable. And I hear stories about how you never want to leave people out on the ice overnight because the furnaces weren't reliable. They didn't have cell phones. Some folks, when they started out having sleepers, they'd have CB radios in them. Maybe just comment on that a little bit.
I had marine band radios in all my houses, and I had one at home, one in my track van, and if it made a noise during the night, it woke me up, and I'd made a lot of trips up north in the middle of the night to work on furnaces or whatever they needed. Never know they cut themselves cleaning fish, haul people back to the hospital for stitches, and you name it, I guess I did it up there.
Oh, I bet.
Back then, what were you traveling out onto the ice in back then? Snowmobiles or bombers, or what were you using?
Everybody else was using bombardiers, and I got a van and put tracks on it. They were made by Stagger, the track systems. And it was a little bigger machine. I could pull bigger houses. And when I was up there, it was like 20 miles each way, many times a day. And I carried spare parts with me and everything because it was just thee and me out there.
Steve, when you were fishing back in the day, when you started ice fishing, Lake of the Woods, you know, commercially and stuff, what were people using for lures? I mean, did they have reels on their rods? Talk about that. What were they using for, like, jig and spoons and stuff? Were they using dead sticks and bobbers as a hook and a minnow, or what were they using?
Well, when I started, everybody was supplying jiggle sticks to their customers. Because hardly anybody had any fishing equipment to speak of. And rods and reels weren't they weren't very new around here. A lot of people, for many years after that, were still using jiggle sticks and heavy jack on line, and you know, it was quite a change to go to a rod and reel.
And then what about lures? Like what were you using back in the day? Did you have jig and spoons?
Somewhat. I used to fish with a lot of spoons. Most people were still using a lot of jigging bits. You know what those are, and you know, fixed bobbers and hand over hand pulling their fish in, and lost a lot of them. And so with a rod and reel and different lures, it's really changed.
Boy, I guess.
I still see those jiggle sticks every once in a while when I'm up there at Lake of the Woods. I know a couple years ago I saw people, you know, some people were using them. People that just, you know, they don't.
A lot of the old locals still use them, yeah.
Sure. That Dan, we should do that. We should make just a jiggle stick video up there. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. You'll have to dress up like you're in the 80s too and just go for the whole aesthetic of it.
Yeah, a whole grumpy old men episode.
Yes. Yeah.
I got
when we first started the winter business, A lot of that, we never filled up propane tanks on the lake. We'd haul them in all the time to get them filled, and that made a lot of work out. There were still some of the fish houses in the resorts that were supplying firewood, little firebox in each house to stay warm.
A little bit easier these days.
Well,
Things have
some days
changed.
It is.
Well, what about do you guys have charter boats, or what do you guys do in the summertime?
Yeah, I run a charter boat yet. Just the one. I can only drive one boat at a time, so I guess one will do it for now.
You haven't figured out how to drive two at a time yet.
No, one of these days I'll sit on the couch and steer 3 or 4 at a time. But right now I just drive the one, I guess.
Man.
Brett, is that
Well,
the
that's
next
great.
technology coming? Is that you can sit back almost like a drone and drive charter boats for remote control?
Oh boy!
Well, it wouldn't
I
surprise
hope
me. You
not.
never know what's going to happen next.
Golf courses.
I was
Steve, talk
when we
about,
first came out with.
back in the day.
Yeah, when we
And
first
to that
came out
point, though,
with
talk back in the
GPS,
day when you used to pull. Didn't you used to pull multiple boats out?
No, I wasn't in for that one, but they used to.
Yeah.
Drag them out there, throw an anchor out, and leave them.
So they'd actually pull, Brett. They'd have one boat, and I would assume that boat had a motor, Steve, but they would pull like 3 or 4 boats out with customers, and they'd maybe go out to like the Morris Point Gap or something and anchor up, and everybody would jig during the last couple hours of the day or whatever, and or maybe in the morning, and then they'd catch their fish, and that one boat would pull everybody back in. Isn't that right, Steve?
I wasn't around for that. That was before my time, believe it or not.
It was,
When I
okay.
started, all the boats were wooden, linemen, skiff crafts, twist crafts. We called them leaky tikis. 'Cause they always,
See, when you would
That's
go
great.
out with one of those wooden boats, and when you were chartering, I mean, obviously we didn't have the weather apps, and how did you approach the day? There weren't very many boats out there. Did you have any communication with shore at all from your boat?
well, if you didn't get out too far, we had marine band radios, but they didn't have scan channels or anything. It was you had a crystal, so you might only have 1 or 2 channels. There wasn't many boats. If you see more than 1 or 2 boats all day in the whole lake, you were crowded. There was no GPS. You had to know where you were going. Compass, a watch, and a tachometer. Go fishing.
And then when you were fishing that way, were you going out fishing structure and where you'd line up trees and islands and stuff? Or were you all kind of fishing no man's land? And how far would you go?
No, you fish structure because nobody fished the mud out there to speak of. But no, we'd go to Canada and fish the islands and any shoreline or islands in Minnesota. I mean, we used to make a big trip of it, buy a Canadian license, go around Big Island, fish your way around the island, and then back down the Minnesota side and get double limits back in the day.
Now, are you running like bricks on ropes, or how are you finding that structure?
Well, we had depth finders. I just had a flasher, and they were fairly new at the time. That's all you had. But heard the stories. They used to go out with porta flashers and throw 6 or 7 buoys out and drift along until one of them snagged, and that's where you fished.
Times have definitely changed.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, that's what we're going to do in the summer. We're just going to throw buoys out until they stop moving, leave all the electronics on shore, and then we're going to use jiggle sticks in the boat. I got this. I got it figured out.
Is it going to be?
Steve, what kind of
Wasn't that long
technology?
ago I'd seen that before. Seems like
What were you
that,
saying,
too.
Joe?
What can I tell you?
Steve, what kind of technology do you use now? I mean, obviously you started out with flashers, but are you using graphs now? Are you using forward-facing sonar, Steve? Are you still where are you at on that?
No, I just got a couple GPSs and graphs and all that stuff, but I don't have the forward-facing sonar. It would change the way I fish too much, I believe. Then I'd be targeting single fish instead of trying to get everybody lots of fish and having a good day. I get too involved in the technology.
JP, do you take clients out also open water fishing?
Nope. In the summer, I depart the lake life and I hit the road and do announcing at county fairs all over the. Well, it used to be the state, but now it's just the Midwest. So that's kind of my summer operation. Captain Steve runs the boat. So
Perfect. You know that
Nice.
Brett was I don't know if you know this, but Brett Amundsen was a rock and roll DJ in Fargo. And I asked Brett, I always remember this. I said, Brett, why did you change from being a DJ to what you're doing now? And tell me if I'm wrong, Brett, but Brett told me, he goes, I was at a North Dakota State football game one Saturday morning, and I was announcing, doing live feeds from there. And all my buddies were out hunting. And I said, you know what? Something's got to change.
Yeah, I was handing out T-shirts to drunk college kids at 8:00 in the morning and hating my life. I mean, it was, don't get me wrong, the Bison football team is great. It was a fun atmosphere and it was all that, but I'd be getting text messages from my buddies with, piles of mallards. They're laying in cornfields in, in the middle of North Dakota or whatever. And I had to be, and I was, I was in management. Like, I didn't need to be there at 8:00 in the morning. Unless I really wanted to be there, and I did not want to be there. And then I got fired. So you could say I made the change, but they kind of helped me make that change just a little bit. They gave me a little nudge out the door, and I thanked them on the way out. So,
Don't let it hit
but that's 100% what happened.
Well, you got JP, you and Brett have a lot in common that way.
yeah, except I haven't been fired from being a management or DJ yet. So
I got
yeah.
they always used to joke in radio that you haven't worked in radio until you get fired. I got fired twice, and it was by the same person, just 10 years apart. It's, you can't make the stuff up. Fargo radio was interesting for sure.
JP, so far you're pretty good standing as far as Sweets fishing. I mean, you think you're in pretty good standing there, and you got some potential longevity?
It's never good standing here. Wake up one day, I can be just, we wake up one day and you're fishing. The next day, you're sitting on the radio hoping to not be like Brett Amundsen and get fired from the same guy 10 years later.
Well, good luck to you. It's I think you'll be fine.
Brett. As a radio guy to a radio guy, did you get rehired by the same place, or when you went to a new station, you seen him walk in, you just went, oh, well, time to pack the office up?
I mean, so if you follow Fargo radio at all over the last 20, 25 years, the
Many
ownership
people do.
has, yeah. Well, for a while, it was like a soap opera because they're like Clear Channel came in and there was a local owner, and then he sold, there's 15, 16 main radio stations there. And there's essentially two radio ownership groups, and they basically swapped. The owner sold one group, bought the other group. Well, he had his favorite management team. He took that management team over to the new group, and then he sold that group, bought the other group again, and brought those people back across. So they went back and forth. It was very confusing. There's probably some lawsuits involved that I'm not privy to those details at all. But it was interesting, and I was working for one, got let go, and then I bounced around, worked in Minneapolis for a little bit, came back to Fargo working for a different group, and then all of a sudden that owner 5 years later came in and bought that group, brought that management team over. And I ended up working there for another 5 years for those people. And then I was a program director running a couple of radio stations, and they changed some formats and let a handful of us go because they changed formats like it happens everywhere in music radio. And that was fine because I was ready to do something like this anyway. So that's my story.
So, hey, JP, talk
Country
about
music and classic rock straight to shooting ducks and deer and talking to Joe Henry every week.
Yeah, I mean, I was running a number of basically there was a handful of rock stations in Fargo Moorhead. I probably worked at all of them or ran a couple of them over the years. And then I was also running the K-Fan affiliate up there, and I started to do an outdoor show, and Doug Lear was on with me all the time, and did that for about a year. And then when they kind of decided to shake things up and change things a little bit, I took that show that I'd started there and turned it into this one, put it on a radio network. And then obviously now with social media and YouTube, like you said earlier, you have to be on social media, and we turned it into a podcast for a long time. And you'll appreciate this as a radio guy. For a long time, I was like, podcast, amateurs.
That's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. YouTube. I did, and then I did a TV show too on Fox Sports North. I'm like, YouTube. Now it's like if you're not on YouTube and you're not doing podcasts, you know, you're not reaching everybody that you could be reaching.
Only 5 years behind.
Yeah, we can jump on the train a little late.
Talk about JP. JP is very integral in the Lake of the Woods County Fair. And JP, if you would, maybe just talk about that, the Lake of the Woods County Fair, and give the listeners just an idea of what's going on there. And I know you pull in some wrestling, you pull in some demolition derbies. A lot of events go on at that fair.
Well, next year will be the 103rd Lake of the Woods County Fair. So glad you asked. June 25th to the 28th here in good old Baudette, Minnesota. It's going to be a different look at the fair next year. We're kind of going to see some changes. We have a 2-day demolition derby next year, and we've already got 57 registered entries, and it's not even Christmas at the time of this taping yet, so that's exciting for us. And we have our fishing derby coming up in March, so I can't tell you all the details yet, but let's just say it's something I'm very excited for on March 7th.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys coming on today. Good luck with everything. And JP, maybe run through the social media channels and your web address where we can find you guys up there.
All right. Well, let's just start at the top. You can find us at sweetsfishing.com. That's sweetsfishing.com for all your information about us here at Sweets. We have Facebook at Sweets Fishing. It's just plain old Sweets Fishing, nothing too exciting there. And to find my misadventures on TikTok, it's my personal TikTok account. It's JimmerTime33, but you can find most of the Sweets Fishing content kind of just goes between both of those, the Facebook and my personal account. So follow us anywhere like that, and come on up and see us on good old Lake of the Woods here while we got some good ice this winter.
All right, JP, Steve, thank you very much. And Joe, if people want to plan a trip to Lake of the Woods, where can they find out more information too?
You know what? Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Thanks for listening to the Fish Hunt Forever show. Download the Fish Hunt Forever podcast wherever you get podcasts or watch on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. If you like today's show, please give us a 5-star review. Find past shows, articles, news about regulations, and more at fishhuntforever.com.